The day after the 4th of July, Belly has to head over to the club because she has debutante waltz practice. It sounds as exciting. It doesn't sound exciting. It's not exciting, folks. It's not. One of the issues, though, is that Belly doesn't have a partner because she meant to ask Cam to be her escort, but she didn't because she got too drunk. So she's stuck at the moment. And Nicole fills in being her mentor. So while everyone's dancing with their dates, it's Nicole and Belly. As they're dancing, Nicole mentions how Conrad left her on red the previous night. She's a little concerned. Those mixed signals, he's still giving them off. And Belly has a pretty good idea of why she was left on red. Conrad almost kissed her, but she doesn't tell Nicole that. She just says, yeah, he was sleeping. And it is true. At one point, Conrad did go to bed. But as Belly and Nicole are dancing at the club, Conrad wakes up. And he gets really happy because he has a text, not from Nicole, but from Belly, saying good morning. And he can't wait to see her. He's actually disappointed when he finds out that she is at the club and he can't see her at the moment. But he's in a really, really good mood. It's something that Jeremiah notices. Now, the thing about the previous night is that Conrad knew that it was Jeremiah who shot that firework off. But Jeremiah claims it was an accident. And Conrad believes it. There's no reason he wouldn't. But Jeremiah starts prodding for information on what Belly and Conrad were talking about down in the gazebo. And Conrad doesn't give him any information. Jeremiah probably would prod for more, but he's got to get over to the club because he's running late for his shift. And as soon as he gets there, the first place he goes isn't to the pool, it's to the ballroom, where he sees Belly dancing with Nicole, and he decides to be her date for the moment. He steps in, he starts dancing with her, but then he gets everybody's attention when he changes the music up, and he starts dancing seductively. Those hips are moving so aggressive that a few of those girls might have gotten pregnant just by watching. Even the ballroom dance teacher can't help but admire his curvatures. Unfortunately, it is short-lived. Paige comes back, she puts an end to it, and she sends Jeremiah back to the pool. As Jeremiah is leaving, his brother just happens to be arriving. His brother wasn't about to just sit there and wait to see Belly when she got back. He wanted to see her that morning, and when he found out she was at the club, he drove over. It does get a little awkward, though. When he arrives, he kind of hangs back in the shadows, and he does wave at Belly, but Nicole happens to be in front of Belly, and Nicole thinks that the wave is for her. Even Belly thinks that the wave might be for Nicole. But she finds out seconds later that, that wave was meant for her when she gets a text from Conrad saying, I'll see you when you get back to the house. Conrad probably would have stayed around, but he has to go help Cleveland with sailing. As those two get out on the ocean, they start chatting about relationships. Because just like Jeremiah, he's noticed that Conrad is in a better mood that day. And he probably figures it's about a girl, so he's willing to give him any advice that he's got. Conrad, though, is a little dismissive because Cleveland's old. What does he know about relationships? And Cleveland lets him know that he does just fine. In fact, he's thinking about texting a memorable woman from the previous night. At this point, Cleveland has no idea that Conrad is crushing on Laurel's daughter, and Conrad has no idea that Cleveland slept with Belly's mom. But when Cleveland lets it slip that it is a divorcee who is also an author, it's not hard to figure out who it is. So while Cleveland is kind of hemming and hawing about what to do, whether to text her or not, Conrad says text her. She's probably just hanging out with my mom anyway. So Cleveland heeds that advice. He texts her, hey, when can I see you again? And Conrad was right. Laurel and Susanna are just hanging by the pool. They've at this point made up. Laurel lets Susanna in on the fact that she had sex with Cleveland the previous morning, and then she gets the text message, so it's perfect timing. Laurel isn't quite sure how to respond to Cleveland's text, so Susanna decides, let's just get some motivation from edibles. And the two women get high. They have to hide their stash, though, from Belly when she comes home and wants to know where Conrad is. At that point, it's all she's really thinking about. What she wasn't planning on was the fact that Cam decided to stop by and see if she wanted to go for a walk on the beach. And Belly says, sure. With Conrad not around, it's not like she has anything else going on. So as the THC hits the older women, Belly and Cam head off. They get to a really nice part of the beach. They start kind of chatting a little bit. They enjoy lunch. And Belly knows that for her, she could have fun all summer doing this. She does like Cam. The problem is, as she's doing it, she wishes she was doing it with Conrad. She knows it's not fair to Cam to put him through this, so she decides to break things off. And he had a pretty good idea that it was happening. I mean, after all, she didn't ask him to be the escort to the debutante ball. He's not too upset about it, but he is disappointed. Belly heads back to the house where Jeremiah is actually waiting for her. While he had work that day, he spent the majority of it trying to push his brother to the side in the battle for Belly. When he overheard Nicole and Shayla talking about this music festival, he decided to intervene and say that Conrad was a big fan of one of the artists and that Nicole should definitely take him. He also stuck up for her big time when some of the other debutante ball girls started to make fun of how Belly danced in heels. However, he still isn't letting on about the fact that he has feelings for Belly to Belly. He's just acting business as usual. Now, when Belly gets home and she sees Jeremiah, the first thing he wants to do is show her the fact that their moms are stoned out of their gourd. I mean, Laurel is so out of it that she gets Belly's advice on the text from Cleveland and reveals to Belly that she slept with Cleveland the previous night. Kind of just happened. Something that Belly doesn't even want to think about. And it's not like Susanna's any better. She goes to paint Jeremiah in a portrait, but that portrait looks bad. I mean, it's not good. And after the failed portrait, the two moms decide to go walk on the beach and just laugh it up. With the house empty and the only people in it being Jeremiah and Belly, Jeremiah wants to spend more time with Belly. He asks her if she wants to go swim. But Belly has to shut him down because she's got to clean her room. And she's still not picking up on the fact that Jeremiah is flirting with her because Jeremiah flirts with everybody. The thing is, Belly doesn't clean her room. Belly prepares herself for Conrad arriving later that day. She wants to make sure she looks good. And when she hears him arrive, she excitedly goes downstairs. But Conrad's being a little weird. He's acting like they didn't kiss the previous day. She decides to speed the process along by letting him know that she broke up with Cam. And when he asks why, she says, because we almost kissed. And he plays it off like he doesn't remember it, like he was drunk. Even though he definitely remembers it. And he wasn't drunk. And if he was, he wasn't that drunk. When he turns around and he sees Belly's face, he knows that he's not going to be able to just weasel his way out of this conversation. So he explains to her, Belly, I think about you a lot. I do like you, but I can't. This hurts Belly deeply. But she stays strong. She tells Conrad, I'm not waiting for you anymore. And then she heads upstairs and cries in her room. She needs a friend in that moment. The person she really needs is Taylor. She really wishes Taylor was there for her at that moment. While Taylor's not, she FaceTimes her. And Taylor, being a good friend, picks up and is willing to listen. While Belly's having an awful day romantically, her mom and Susanna are still having fun. They found a beach bar. They go to it. They continue the party by drinking. Susanna hooks up with a guy. And Laurel finally texts Cleveland back, why don't we just hang out now? So he picks her up. He takes her to this private lake where they skinny dip and they hook up, which is a big deal for Laurel. It's one thing to have sex in the car. He can't really see her, but when you skinny dip, you see all the nooks and crannies. But Cleveland, he's into it. So you could say it was a really good day for Laurel. And it also wasn't that bad of a day for Steven. Steven got a bit of a promotion. Thanks to Adam, who put in a good word for him at the club, he got bumped up to being the server at the private card game in the club, which comes with big tips. And at first, Steven's loving it. He gives some poker advice to one of the guys. Steven completely lucks out, but it makes him look good. But then he sees the dirty side of it. The fact that these guys will never respect him, that they look down on him. They say some racist stuff. And it has Steven thinking, am I even built for this? But then Steven sees how much money he gets for it. And he thinks, oh, okay, maybe I can put up with their bullshit. After the morning card game, he and Shayla headed out to lunch where he was able to pay with the money he earned from the card game. But he just so happens to run into the son of one of the guys from the card game. Shayla introduces the two, and the kid says, yeah, my dad was mentioning that this busboy was like a poker savant. Is that you? And Steven excitedly says, yeah, I guess so. And the kid, whose name's Trevor, invites him to their private poker game. It's not as high stakes, but they're always looking for more people. And Steven says, yeah, sure, I'd love to. So things are looking up for Steven. Back at the house, though, Steven's sister has this routine. She always goes for a nighttime swim in the pool. Jeremiah knows this. That's where Jeremiah decides to make his move. He got word earlier that Conrad was probably going to that music festival, so he figured it was pretty safe, and he jumps in the pool with Belly. He tells her that he's always had feelings for her, but for the longest time it was always Conrad, and this summer it was Cam. But now that they both seem to have gone by the wayside, he feels like it's his turn. And the two end up hooking up right there in the pool. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.